What's up? Welcome to the Tedeschi Trucks podcast. This is episode number 12, and I am Adam Choate. For now, to follow this show, it's at Tedeschi Trucks Podcast on Instagram, and I'm at Adam Choate on Instagram as well if you want to follow me. And just a disclaimer, I have no affiliation with the band. This is not an official podcast or anything. I'm just a passionate fan. Anyway, I hope you're enjoying this podcast, and if so, I would greatly appreciate it if you would take the time to write out a short positive review on iTunes. This is definitely appreciated. So, today's guest is 16-year-old Connor Autry. Growing up and living not too far away from the birthplace of the Allman Brothers in Macon, Georgia, Connor's dad has always loved the band and introduced him to the band's music at a very young age. Connor currently runs the Duane Skydog Allman Instagram page and the Derek Truck Stuff Instagram page as well. A few years ago, Connor started teaching himself and playing slide guitar by studying Derek Truck's videos on YouTube. We talk Duane, we talk Derek, we talk slide guitar, and much more. Let's just get into it. Here's Connor Autry. So it's good to see you today, Connor Autry. Thank you for joining me on the Zoom. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, yeah. How's your day going? How you holding up down there? And you're in Georgia, right?
Yep. Great Georgia. Jones County.
And you're doing all right during this crazy time, crazy year, and hell of a 2020 so far.
Yeah, I'm doing great.
And you're a young man. You are 16 years old. I did not know that.
Yeah.
So you're out of school right now. So is school over for the year, I'm guessing?
It was over back in March. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. When they ended it preemptively.
Not long after the Brothers 50 concert, actually.
I remember because I was talking to Josh Brick right around that time, and he was at that show. So you are going into your junior year or senior year of high school?
Yeah.
Junior year. Gotcha. Yeah. Cool. And you are located just outside Macon, Georgia, you were telling me before we started recording, and that, of course, is the birthplace of the Allman Brothers.
Right, exactly.
That's like the Mecca for this podcast in some regard, for sure. Yeah. Okay, why don't we get into your life and your music life, and you could tell me all about it. Why don't you tell me about when you were real young, maybe 4, 5, 6 years old, if you have any musical memories from that, from your family. What were you listening to? Were you even playing instruments that young? And I'll kind of give you the floor.
All right. Oh well. I wasn't playing instruments that young, but growing up, my dad, he's always been a huge Allman Brothers fan, and we'd always visit the Big House, Rose Hill, because we're really close, and the love was there instantly.
How old do you remember being when your dad first introduced you to the Allman Brothers?
Probably around 5 or 6, because I would always get it. As silly as it sounds, I would always get Greg's voice and Ronnie Van Zant from Leonard Skinner. I would always get their voices mixed up somehow.
All Southern rock sounds the same to you?
Nah.
Talented guys, both talented guys, of course.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. And where did you say your dad took you to see?
He would take me
historic sites.
He would take me to the Allman Brothers Band Museum, the Big House. He would take me to Rose Hill, to H&H, to basically everywhere.
What are those? I'm not even super familiar with those places. Are those are venues?
The Hill is a cemetery where Duane and Barry Oakley were buried, and also Elizabeth Reed, where they got that name, and then Little Martha. Those are graves there. So,
right.
Yeah. And then H&H is where Mama Louise, she fed the brothers.
Was that a restaurant?
Yeah. Sorry, that's a restaurant.
Is that still around?
They closed. Well, I think it's still open today, but they closed in for a while and then reopened. And
Right. The current conditions aside, it would be open otherwise.
yeah, yeah. But I meant
I
like back, I think '09. I would be asking about it to my mom and be like, "Hey, can we go there?" She'd be like, "I think they're closed, aren't they?" And I'm like, "I guess I don't know."
check it out. Call them up. Look them up. What kind of food do they serve over there? So you have been there, you said, with your dad.
Just, yeah, good Southern, fried chicken and mashed potatoes and green beans and good stuff.
Soul foods, Southern food, good stuff.
Yeah.
And what about, like, do you remember, you said you were hooked immediately by the music, even at like 5 years old. Do you remember what you had heard by the Allman Brothers?
I know this one specific time where we were in my dad's truck. It was me, my dad, and my brother, because my dad was a single dad. And we'd be riding around, and I just remember a lot of the songs off of the Allman Brothers' first album,
Right.
It's Not My Cross to Bear. That was one that brings back memories,
So powerful. It's just such a powerful tune.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's cool. What about was your dad or are you guys listening? You said was your brother older or younger?
It's my older brother.
Your older brother.
Yeah, he's about 6 years old.
Gotcha. Were you guys listening to anything else besides the Allman Brothers, like other rock, southern rock, blues, other kinds of music, or is that kind of all you remember from early age?
That's pretty much all I remember. Them and Leonard Skinner, and I don't know, I know Stevie Ray Vaughan was in there somewhere. So,
gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool. And what about, did your dad play guitar or your brother play any instruments or anything like that? Any musicians in the family?
Nah, we were just really music lovers at that time.
That's cool. And what do you remember about, as you grew a little older, maybe like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? It's just this continuation of the same kind of thing, just listening to Allman Brothers and
pretty much, but
southern rock.
I feel like I was introduced to a lot more as the years went on.
Right. Just more Allman Brothers, deeper cuts, or other music, or both?
Both, yeah.
Gotcha. And your love just grew and grew, huh?
Yes.
I got you. What about anything stand out from that kind of time period, age 7, 8, 9, 10, sort of when you were a younger kid, musically, or because you said you haven't actually seen really any of these acts perform live, but maybe you've seen other live music or anything else sort of stand out about your musical journey from that age?
I mean, I remember 7, 8, 9, whatever age I was in 2011.
Yeah.
I remember hearing about Derek Trucks, and I loved his sound, on slide. And, I'd be on YouTube, and I just remember looking up Derek Trucks and finding I'm sure you've seen it, the Old Friend with Warren Haynes backstage.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was blown away.
That was acoustic. They were both playing acoustic, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I was blown away, man. Like, I wanted, like, I didn't know what a slide was, but I would get markers and the lids off of them. And I was, still pretty young. So I'd put it on my finger and try to slide around with it,
On a guitar.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
How long have you had a guitar for, and how long have you been playing guitar at that point? When did you pick it up?
I just pick it up, and I mean, actually, it wasn't even my guitar. It was my stepdad's. My stepdad has been a guitarist since he's like 12, I think. So And I'd just, around the house, I'd see them laying around, and I'd try with those little marker tops, and
That didn't work very well, did it? I'm guessing.
not at all.
What did your stepdad and other people say when they saw this young kid trying to play a slide guitar with a marker on a guitar?
I know that I'd be like, "Hey, you want to play guitar?" And he'd play, and I didn't know what I was doing at all. And I'd be like, "Hey, you want one? And you want to try to play slide?" And he'd be like, "No." It's just
not
no.
with that. Did he play any? I'm guessing he didn't play slide. Otherwise, he probably would have had slides around as well.
Well, no, he never got in a slide. But about fast forward till I was like 13, I think. He was like, "Hey, I got a slide if you're trying to learn slide." And I was like, "Yes, I am."
You're holding one right in your hand right now. Is that the very slide he gave you?
Yes. Yeah.
Is that's not Derek's signature slide, is it?
I don't remember exactly, but it
Yeah.
seems like it have Derek Trucks somewhere on there.
Yeah, probably. It looks similar, like it's a glass slide, right? You're holding up.
But it's not like closed right here and open right here or nothing. It goes all the way. Yeah.
Right. And how have you not managed to break that? Well, I guess, you know what? I almost keep forgetting that you are, like I said, a young man. So you're 16 now. So, 7 years ago, you're 9 years old, and Tedeschi Truck was like already a band, and you're just a young kid, like real young, YouTubing, how to play slide or YouTubing Derek Trucks and stuff. Right. So it's like really not that long ago. That's amazing in itself to me. But no, that's cool that you started to. So you were playing, kind of fooling around with the guitar, I'm guessing, kind of on and off for a while at that point, just since you were a young kid, because it was always sort of around the instrument. So you've been fooling around. What kind of stuff were you playing, like even before you picked up the slide? Just like chords, trying to learn anything, or what?
Well, not very much. Wasn't trying to learn very much, really. And it's funny because around then I was like 7. I'd look at the guitar and be like, "Oh, that's cool." I didn't know much, and fast forward till I was like 13 when I actually started. This was around the time I started my Duane page.
Right.
It was right after Greg Allman's death, and I looked at my guitar and I was like, I need to use that. It's just sitting here for no reason. I need to use it. So I tried to learn slide. I think the first solo I ever learned was there's a video somewhere on YouTube, and it's Derek Trucks tribute to Greg Allman, and they played "Ain't Wasting Time No More," and I loved it. Like, it gave me chills.
So you're trying to learn the solo from "Ain't Wasting Time No More," you're saying?
Yeah. And it probably didn't sound too good, to be honest with you. It never does when you're first starting out. So, but
that sort of inspired you to really get into the slide more, just to kind of focus you in some way.
It was before I even had this puppy.
Holding up an SG right there.
Yep.
That's a Gibson when you got there?
It's an Epiphone.
It's okay. I won't hold it against you.
But it was before I got that puppy. It was like a $60 eBay guitar or something like that.
Yeah.
And the cord for the amp that I got with that guitar, this is the amp right here. It's a Huntington.
Small little amp you got there.
Yeah.
That will work, though. That will work for you.
Right. The cord for
you're gone.
The cord for it didn't even work at the time, so I was just playing it like like this.
Just playing not plugged in.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is not good for slide guitar playing at all because you need that sustained sound.
Right.
Especially on electric.
But, and then I asked my mom, and I asked my mom, and I asked my mom to get me an SG like Derek's, and eventually they got it. And then I needed an amp, so then I got me a Marshall Code 50, and it's been going great from there. So
nice. So you were actually, when you first started playing slide, just kind of playing guitar not plugged in and just kind of messing around that way?
Yeah, exactly.
How long were you doing that for?
About a year, I think.
Damn. So then when you finally plugged in, you must have been like, this is awesome, or something like that, or decent.
Oh, yeah.
Even.
I called everybody on the phone. I was like, hey, listen to this. And they were like blown away. They were like, oh my God, it sounds so good.
That's awesome. That's great to hear. Yeah, because I don't know, like I've messed around with, like, I went through a period where, because I play a little guitar too, and I did go through that period where, like, falling in love with trucks and other slide players. I want to try it, but I never really was able to, like, stick with it. I got some of the technique down a little bit, using your palm to mute, using your fingers to mute the strings, and finger picking and all those things. That's kind of like what you were kind of focusing on, just like a lot of technique. How did you teach yourself technique? Because I've seen your videos on Instagram. You're competent. You're a good player. So where did you learn, like, the skill to, like, play slide? Because, like, I feel like a lot of people like myself, they try it and they just cannot stick with it.
Man, I absolutely just kept looking up Derek Trucks videos until I got tired of it, which wasn't very much, but I just kept looking up Derek Trucks videos, and I'd be like, hey, I need to practice that, and then I'd start practicing what he was doing, basically.
Is that really what it was? Is just watching him and just kind of trying to break down each little note, each section the best you could to try to imitate the sound? It wasn't really you looking up tabs or taking lessons or anything like that, or it was just really just listening to the music and just trying to do your best to match it, in a sense.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, you're right.
That's hard. Like, I even tried to, like, slow down some of, like, I would, like, try to slow down some of the solos he does, and then try to, like, break it down that way. But it's tough. What are some of the most challenging aspects of playing slide guitar?
Just trying to figure out a solo that Derek does.
Yeah.
Because there's
go on.
Like, there's certain stuff that I don't know how to do, and I'm just blown away. I'm like, how does he do that? Like, one thing is he does this, like, how he uses his hand, but
yeah, you can feel free to demonstrate if you want to plug it in or do whatever you want to do. Go for it.
Well, he does. I know he used to do it a lot. I don't know about now, but he goes. It'll just be in the solo, and he'll go, keep on with it, and I'm like, I can't do that. That hurts my fingers.
Yeah, his technique is definitely unique, especially with the right hand, the strumming hand. Because Derek, of course, in addition to being a great slide player and non-slide player, he's a great rhythm player as well, for sure.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And do you feel like you're progressing, like, since you were 13, 14, 15, 16?
Yeah.
Over the last just recent years?
The other day I looked on Facebook, and there was a video. It was from a live, actually. And I listened to myself. It was when I still was using this amp as my main.
Yeah.
And I could tell, like, I've come a long way since then,
Yeah, that's the only way to tell that you've made progress, I feel like, is to listen to something from, like, years ago and then hear yourself now compared to it, rather than listening to something like you recorded yesterday or even just, like, in the moment.
Yeah.
To really to gauge yourself.
Yeah.
Do you play a lot of non-slide guitars as well?
From time to time. Yeah. Like the video I posted today, it's just something I came up with. It sounded good, so I posted it basically.
Because do you play when you play slide, you play in an open tuning typically? Was Derek's an open E normally, or
yeah.
did you have to get like your guitar like the action adjusted to play slide or anything like that? So you kind of have to customize your guitar for slide playing.
I raised it a little bit, but for the most part, I learned how to play it how it was, just so I didn't have to, be too affected by it when I'm not playing slide.
Right. So you definitely want to have a guitar where you can play slide and non-slide as well. And I guess Derek must have the same sort of like approach because he uses the same guitar, for most of a show.
Yeah, people are pretty amazed. Like Duane's gold top that he used on Layla, they're pretty amazed that the slide is pretty low. I mean, the action, yeah. Like
I mean, you just get comfortable. You just get that feel, and I guess you can get comfortable with it. And I guess a little bit with a glass slide. I guess it depends on the weight, but some of those glass slides can have some mass to it and be kind of heavy. So you definitely have to have a light touch with it if you're not going to have the high action.
For sure, yeah.
I love this. I could talk about this shit like all day, all day long. Guitars and slide guitar and Duane and Derek. I think that's why I'm doing this podcast. Do you sing at all?
Well, I sing in chorus for my school, but
that's good.
Not very much outside of there. I just
enjoy it. Do you enjoy singing in chorus for school?
Yeah, a little bit.
What kind of stuff do you guys sing in chorus?
Sometimes it's a classic. Sometimes it's written by the teacher because she's a great musician, I guess, and just a great chorus teacher. But I don't know. It depends on the theme of the concert, I guess.
Gotcha.
If it's a Irish theme, or then she might put a classic in there, or
classic meaning like a traditional sort of a song.
Yeah, traditional.
Not modern, not modern popular music. Do you sing any modern popular music in chorus?
From time to time, we have a few like some warm-up songs. Like, what is it? I throw my hands up in the air sometimes, singing "Ayo."
Yeah, there you go.
Do that as a warm-up song. So
nice. And are you in a band or anything like that as well outside of school?
No, I'm not. But
why not?
About forming. I was thinking about forming not too long ago because I guess mainly because I watched documentaries about how Duane Allman formed the Allman Brothers, and I was like, I could do that because I had a few people lined up. You know what I'm saying? I had a drummer, I had a bassist. I was like, I could do this, but
this year.
Then I got to think about it, and I was like, I don't. It's not that I don't want to. It's just I don't know. I don't feel like getting all the people around, and I feel like also I have to progress as a player more.
Right,
and I'm not ready.
Yeah, between you, feeling like you need to improve, and the effort that would be involved with forming a band, on top of this year being completely insane, I suppose you had some things working against you. But maybe next year, I'm guessing you've been locked up for quite a bit or haven't been out all that much, so it's like, you probably had time to practice. So you'll be ready next year. I'm gonna check up on you a year from now and be like, how are we doing with the band? And if you haven't formed one, I hope that you're taking the steps, because I'm sure that would be a lot of fun for you. And I'm guessing in that part of the country, there's a lot of musicians that you can connect with for sure.
We'll see. We'll cross that bridge when it gets there.
Do you have musical aspirations beyond just playing slide guitar for fun kind of thing?
You mean like my dream or something?
Yeah, either goals or dreams or plans, any of the above. You can separate them into those different categories if you want. Well, I heard
Well,
the immediate plan is to sort of just improve and get better, but what about goals or dreams even for your
well,
playing?
I don't know if it's a dream anymore, really. I guess I kind of just lost interest. Maybe. I don't. But somewhere in 8th grade, a girl broke my heart. No, I'm just playing. But
Plenty of stories start that way, my friend.
well, to be truthfully honest, that's kind of how something started, and it made me want to play. You know, I was like, it'd be so cool to play for people like the Allman Brothers did.
Right.
You know, just thinking about it, it got me excited. So part of me wanted to really do that for like a year and a half or something, but eventually I lost interest, and I was like, I don't know.
You got your whole life together. You don't got to make all these decisions this second.
Yeah, right.
Speaking of decisions and big life decisions, do you have? I mean, you're only heading into your junior year of high school, but do you have any thoughts of what you might do with the rest of your life
I have a lot
beyond
of
high
love
school?
right. I have a lot of love for law enforcement, but I also have a lot of love for working on vehicles.
Right.
So, I have a lot of things that I've thought about. One of those things being what I just mentioned, in being in a band or whatever. But I'm just taking it one day at a time,
Probably
sort
smart.
of thing. Right? Yeah.
But that's
Thinking
good that
about
you
it.
have different interests and trying different things and
Yeah.
going from there. Why don't you tell me about the origins of the Duane Allman, Duane Skydog Allman Instagram page, and sort of what inspired you to start that, and why at the time, when you were 13, you said you launched that.
Yeah. Another reason why I started playing slide guitar was because of Greg Allman's death. I was really upset by that. Me and my dad both, and I don't know, somewhere in there, I was like, what if I made a Duane page? Because I'm a guitar player at heart. So,
Right.
what if I made a Duane page? And Greg, he lost his brother. So, like, maybe if I did that, that'd be a better thing honoring him or, something. And so I created it. And just recently, it's really caught on. And I've gotten follows from JMO and Jared James Nichols, if you know him, and Devin Allman, even him too.
That's awesome.
All right, yeah.
No, that's really cool. It's definitely a fun page and lots of good content on there. For sure. When you say
Yeah.
it grew more recently, is that like within the last year, or is that sort of just a gradual thing, would you say?
Yeah, probably within the last year. I don't know when it was, but I was like stuck at 1,000 not long ago. Probably a year and a half, maybe even 2 years. I don't know. I was just kind of stuck at 1,000 because my content wasn't as good as it is now. I do research on my posts now.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like, it's just recently really caught on.
Why do you think that is? What's changed? Do you think it has anything to do with Derek and Susan continuing to like promote the Allman Brothers legacy and that continuing to help draw attention to it, or is it just randomly, or is it just the improvement of the content, or what accounts for it?
Improvement of the content, probably randomly, like you said, and also probably just because of Derek and Susan playing so many other songs, and and Government Mule playing
sure.
some of those.
No
Even
doubt. Yeah, I'm looking at your page right now. Go on.
and even who is it? Well, I know I saw this guy on some show, singing show or whatever, and he did a cover of the Whipping Post. And even other famous people like Chris Stapleton.
Right.
He did like, I don't know, 2015, he did a great whipping post. And I'm sure those covers and stuff have really caught the attention of a lot of people, you know?
Yeah, whenever like a newer or more recent artist covers a song like that, you look into the comment section. Oh, I didn't know this was an Allman Brothers song, and that just is
Yeah.
a way to get more fans to the roots of the music, for sure. When you say you do research, where do you actually come up with the content for the Duane Allman, Duane Skydog Allman Instagram page? Are you just sort of Googling pictures and looking for information attached to it, kind of thing? What inspires one particular post on a particular day? Is it just looking for new stuff that you haven't posted yet? Is that kind of the parameter, more or less?
Some of it, yeah. Well, there's a few sites that I use that have some really good information. Sometimes I steal a few posts from Craig Oleski, a great historian.
Yeah, between Craig Oleski and Alan Paul, you get a lot of content and ideas and just information.
Oh yeah,
it's right there.
Oh yeah, I talk to Mr. Oleski from time to time. He's a good guy, and he's helped my page grow. Really, like he's helped me. Like, hey, he's helped give me advice. There you go.
Yeah. Do you have goals for the Instagram page? I mean, I'm not sure what even those goals could entail, other than just sharing the legacy and spreading the legacy of Duane Allman and the Allman Brothers and their music. Is it anything beyond that?
I would really love to get a 10K. That'd be awesome.
So it's just really just like just trying to grow the page and just hitting certain benchmarks to,
right.
But yeah, I'm not sure how you could even like necessarily even monetize the page or anything like that. What, like, if you sell any merch or anything like that, or like have eventually I think like the Allman Brothers, whoever like owns the rights to all their music, their family, I guess, and the band members themselves, maybe they can, like, I don't know, somehow make a deal with you guys and like
help brother out,
helping. Yeah, brothers helping brothers, literally, for sure. I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure. I'm not the marketing and monetizing expert. I wish I was. I'm learning from you. I'm going to be asking you and Craig Oleski questions and for advice about how to grow a podcast and how to grow Instagram pages and a following. And of course,
I'll definitely long way for sure. But
yeah, you've been my maybe my number one fan for sure on the social media. I definitely appreciate the support for sure. Tell me more about like discovering Tedeschi Trucks' his music and Derek Trucks' music, even beyond just initially sort of finding him and starting to play some of the slide. Where's your fandom kind of gone in the last couple of years or so?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, I found Derek Trucks through YouTube. Just I don't know. I heard him somewhere somehow, and then I was like, I want to look up that Derek Trucks guy, see what he's all about. And so I looked him up, and then we moved from that house and we lost our computer. And back then, like, not everybody had tablets, and not every 5-year-old you came across had tablets like they do now, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so for a while I just did what any kid would do, or what any kid without a tablet would do, and played outside, and I don't know, about 2 years later, I got a tablet, and I looked up, I was like, I want to see what that Derek Trucks guy is up to, you know what I mean? And I looked up, I just looked up his name, I think, and I found the Layla Jam video from 1993.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking
about? He's wearing the Braves hat.
Yeah, and the Duane shirt.
That's right.
Yeah. And I fell in love, man. Like, I was like, he can do that? That's crazy. Like, I don't know, but
yeah, I watch that video every once in a while. I want to say twice a year, but it's probably more than that. It's probably just once in a while. It's like, oh, it's time for that video. And it's just amazing to see that the guy has like the same, very similar sound and stage presence and demeanor. He's like the same guy. I mean, why should it be a different guy? But it's quite something to see that
Right.
consistent his playing and even maybe personality too have been over the years.
Oh yeah, I think he's always been that really humble guy or kid,
Yeah. I guess that must be come from family and just being around music his whole life. I think that must be a big part of it.
Exactly right, yeah.
He's always been around great players, like really his whole life, playing with the Allman Brothers as a teen, like, and playing with God knows who else, when he was even younger, just like making little guest spots here and there with big names. That will humble you, I suppose.
For sure, yeah.
And you've never seen, you never had a chance to see the Allman Brothers or Tedeschi Trucks yet live.
Yeah. Man, like when they announced their retirement, and like I think it was at the end of 2013 when they like announced it.
Yeah, 2013, 2014 was kind of the end, if I recall.
Yeah. There was it was on the news, and I was like, that sucks, my parents were like, I think I was talking real loud, and I was like, that sucks. And then my mom was like, shh, let me listen. And, when they saw the ticket prices, man, they were like, oh, yeah, no, that ain't happening.
Oh, for like the final tour or whatever?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's a shame. But at least you got the music. We'll always have the recordings to listen to. But I'm guessing Tedeschi Trucks is on the bucket list, on the list of shows to see at some point.
Right.
I keep forgetting that you are like, young, so it's not like you go. I mean, do you go to a lot of shows, local shows and things like that? I mean, you're not. I guessing you're not out at bars and things like that all the time or too often, or unless it's like under 21 allowed to certain places.
Right. Talking about the live thing, I went to GABA Fest. It's the Georgia Allman Brothers Band Association. And I saw, it was around that time actually, 2014. I saw Jack Pearson live, and he blew me away. Not enough to start playing exactly, but he blew me away. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a great player too.
For sure.
Yeah, maybe next year. I'm gonna follow up about that. We got to get you out to a TTB show and got to get you in a band. It's all about what I want for you.
Right.
Do you have a sort of fantasy or dream experience with Tedeschi Trucks or with Derek? Is it to like jam with Derek or something like that, or just to meet him, or is it just to go to a show, or is it all the above?
Probably all the above, but mainly like I'd love to meet Derek, and I'd love to jam with him.
Right. No doubt.
Show him some of the stuff that I've learned, and
Would you play slide with him? You guys would both play slide?
Oh yeah. I'd be like, hey, check this out, and he'd be like, oh, hey, check this out.
I always think that's. I mean, it's brave. I feel like for any guitar player. I mean, Susan or anyone else, just to like play guitar on stage with Derek Trucks can be quite a daunting and intimidating thing. So anyone who tries it, I definitely have admiration. I know Warren sometimes has played slide with Derek. I can't think off the top of my head who else has played slide like on stage with.
There's some steel guitar players that have played on stage with them, and
Jerry Douglas.
Derek and him would go back and forth, and it was cool to watch.
Yeah, for sure. Have you seen Jerry Douglas and Derek do Little Martha?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's they do an awesome version. Awesome version for sure.
Oh yeah.
What would you say is like the how do you describe Duane's sound versus like Derek's sound? Like, because obviously it's Duane is probably the biggest influence on Derek, and their sounds can be described as similar. Like, well, how do you sort of describe their sounds and the differences, the similarities, what their sounds mean to you?
Well, like I said earlier, with the Allman Brothers and Tedeschi Trucks Band and Government Mule, I feel like Duane, of course, started it, and Derek kind of has carried the torch since then. I mean, but he's not exactly Duane, but that's perfectly fine, I think Derek Trucks, his sound over the years, it's changed a little bit. Like, if you look at a video from, one of the concerts from the 2009 tour, the 40th anniversary tour, versus the Brothers 50 concert, I think you'll notice some key differences. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think he gets better. I think he's actually getting better and better. Not that he was not good, of course, but I just think he's just building on obviously what Duane has done and what Duane can do. I feel like Derek can do anything Duane did, really. I believe that. Maybe, I don't know about writing necessarily and coming up with the exact same things, but for the most part, technically and skill-wise, and maybe even in those other categories too, like, I feel like he's just built upon and expanded upon what Duane has created, and then built on and built upon what he's created. Like, I some of the sounds that Derek makes, I don't even know where, how the hell he makes these sounds out of the guitar, where he comes up with these ideas. And I've talked about this on this podcast before. It's just like, no two solos, no two let me get by intros are the same. It's completely different. And when you listen to it, it sounds like, oh, that's just, maybe the first time you heard it, like, oh, that was kind of jarring, not in a bad way. It's just like, oh, that's different than the version I've been listening to lately or the record. But then you listen to that version again, it's like, oh, that's just what it should sound like. Every new version of a Derek, live slide guitar solo intro, whatever it is, sounds like, oh, that could be the correct version or the studio version or, what the song sounds like.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I've looked up so many videos over the years, because they're all different in some way. Like, they do.
Right.
I don't know if I would say still do, but they haven't played in a while. So,
right.
For a long time, they were doing "The Sky Is Crying."
Right. Yeah.
And like every version was different, and I just kept looking up videos. There's one with Marcus King where somebody in the crowd yells, "Get it, Derek," or something like that, and he like toys with it. He turns down his volume, he turns it back up, and you just have to see it. But he
eases his way into it. Yeah, he eases his way into it, and it's just like it almost builds a lot of tension. Like when the audience knows that Derek slide solo is coming, it can get real quiet, and people are sort of mumbling, like, in an excited way. Like, anticipation is really what it is. And it's amazing that, like, we're saying how he can play all these different versions and all these different solos, but every solo and every intro, every outro fits the song. It's not like he's just doing something different for the sake of doing something different. Like, the guy can do 1,000,001 different versions of a solo, but every single one fits the song. And that's an amazing feat in itself.
For sure, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I really love, Derek, Susan, Tedeschi Trucks, this band, and even, the Allman Brothers too. You didn't really know, especially with Tedeschi Trucks, you don't really know when you're going to a show what they're going to play, what the set list is going to be, what to expect. It's full of surprises, and they're constantly adding, or at least consistently adding new songs to their catalog. I mean, I think I read somewhere that they must be like songs that they can play at shows. It's like up to like 80, 90, 100, something like that. It's like in the 80s at least how many songs. And most bands like don't have that sort of catalog that they can go through and like play all those songs. Like the Stones have a million songs that they've recorded, but you know, if you see a Stones tour show these days, it's kind of like some very similar set list every night. And I know sometimes bands will do like, oh, vote for, you want to hear Ruby Tuesday or do you want to hear Under My Thumb tonight? But like, you know, the band knows ahead of time that they're going to play one of those four. Whereas like Derek calls, you know, he'll call audible, cross out things on the set list, you know, try a lot of new covers every tour. Like it's really full of surprises from tour to show and beyond. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, right. Sometimes they'll play a few of their songs and they'll put a blues classic like Keep Your Lamp Trimmed and Burning. They'll put that on. They'll put Done Somebody Wrong, and then they'll go back to some of their songs, and it's fun. It's fun for sure, yeah.
Yeah, and he's the leader of the band, Derek, and he's the one who makes the set list, as far as I understand. And I definitely, you know, I feel like I could follow the method to the madness. Like, there's a reason you don't hear typically we'll hear like Sky is Crying and what's the BB King song. It's not a BB King song, but it's like BB did the most famous version of the song that they cover, that other blues tune. It slipped my mind. It slipped my mind, but there's a reason they don't do like, you know, every typical, you know, real bluesy song, you know, 2 of them or 3 of them in a show. Like there's definitely a method to the madness for sure. And I feel like I'm able to follow it.
Yeah.
No, for sure. And what else, what other highlights from any other highlights from your music life or your Allman Brothers fandom or Derek Trucks fandom that you'd like to share?
Well, it was my first time really ever showing the public you know, not like everybody in the world, but first time really performing for people. And I went to this store called Music Masters in Warner Robins, not very far from Macon. And I picked up this gold top. It wasn't a Les Paul. It was like a knockoff, you know. And I picked it up, and the store owner came in, and he was like, wow. It was actually this most recent summer in 2019, and he was like, wow, this kid can play, right? You know, he showed me some stuff, and
we left slide? There.
Oh, yeah. I brought the slide that day for sure. And then my stepmom had to go to one of her family friends or something like that, their funeral. And I brought the slide again, of course, and I was just at the music store, and I brought it with me. And for some reason, I kept it in my pocket, and somebody there was playing an acoustic guitar. It was a Epiphone Hummingbird, just like the Gibson version. And I was like, "Hey, you ever heard of slide guitar?" And they were like, "Yeah, you play that?" And I was like, "I do." And my dad said, "Hey, play for him." And I was like, "I got you. All right." So I started playing, and just everybody was like amazed, and it felt so good. Like that day was so good, you know, to grow off of. And
at some person's funeral, you're saying?
Yeah, it was a outside cookout type thing.
Like a what do you call it? Like a celebration. What's the word? A reception? Not a reception. Not a celebration of life. I forget what the hell the word is. Maybe reception, I guess. Like a funeral reception, I guess that is that is the right term. Well, I'm sure whoever passed was looking down and smiling at your licks.
Oh yeah, probably.
Was that sort of the only time or one of the few times you've sort of played in front of any sort of crowd live?
Yeah, a little bit. And it's funny because I started playing and like a whole wave of people just came over my way, and I was like, okay. And I just kept on, you know, and it was a great time though.
That's awesome. Yeah, you got to recapture that feeling, my friend. Get back out there when the time comes. When the time comes. Well, I feel like we've covered a lot. The time has flown by, and I definitely appreciate it. And you sharing your stories, and real Southern young man there. You're a true blue Southern man with the Allman Brothers and the soul food and all that, and Derek and Susan and TTB. Being a TTB fan and all that. Is there anything else you want to talk about or whatnot? Otherwise, I'll give you the floor. You could plug, promote whatever you want. The Duane page, personal pages, whatever you want. I'll give you. It's all yours.
Yeah, go follow my Duane Skydog Allman page on Instagram. To everybody listening, I wanted to give a shout out to one of the pages I use, DuaneAllman.info. There's a few pages on it, not on Instagram, on Facebook, where I've found a few good friends, Mark Fortemag and Sabrina Chrysler, and they've been so kind to me. The pages' names are Duane Skydog Allman fan page, I think it is, and Brother Duane, and then Duane Allman fans. So
yeah, I'm gonna follow all those because I don't know if I'm following those currently. Like the main Allman Brothers, Facebook page or whatever. Well, that's awesome. Yeah, Duane Skydog Allman. That's your Instagram fan page for Duane, of course, right?
Yeah.
At Duane Skydog Allman. Cool. Well, I appreciate it, Connor Autry. Thank you for your time. It's been a lot of fun. Great stories. Looking for, I think I might have to have you on again, in another year, another two, and check in and see where we're at musically, what shows you've been to, how we're progressing, where your life is going, because you got your whole life ahead of you.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I'll let you get back to the rest of your evening, and I appreciate you, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be promoting you, dude.
Oh, I appreciate it. Take care now.
Take care.
So there you go. My conversation with Connor Autry. And yes, that was him playing a little slide guitar for you a moment ago. I definitely thank Connor for his time and for all the support with this show. And I will definitely be keeping tabs on him and his playing. I'm excited to follow his musical progress. And I hope he can eventually get out to a Tedeschi Trucks Band show, live, because he will be blown away. Anyway, hope everyone is doing okay out there during this crazy, sad, strange, and tumultuous 2020. For now, check out Tedeschi Trucks Podcast on Instagram. That's at Tedeschi Trucks Podcast. And of course, remember to tap subscribe or follow on iTunes, Spotify, or whichever way you listen to this show. And again, positive reviews on iTunes are greatly appreciated as well. And I also host another podcast called People We Love. And what I do with that one is interview people from all walks of life, most often stand-up comedians and other artists in the entertainment business, about their lives and careers. But I also ask them to highlight someone they love, who has inspired and influenced them. It's a lot of fun. Check it out. PeopleWeLovePodcast.com and at PeopleWeLovePodcast on Instagram. And of course, I'm at Adam Choit on Instagram as well. But yeah, that's about all I got for today. And again, thanks for listening. Later.